Welcome everybody, God bless you all. Jesus is Lord, Islam is false. We have yet another khalas, my bad, moment with Uthman bin Faruq. We're going to get into it right now. He's already been busted. He's already been caught, even by Muslim apologists, saying that he knows what he said was not actually true. He himself has made another video trying to explain, trying to save face, but we're going to get into it right now and expose more dishonesty from him. Let's get into it.
My bad. No problem. No problem. No. Khalas. My bad. Show us a mushaf from Musaf of Uthman and I'll give $5,000. So I decided to do some research. We brought the Musaf Uthman radiyallahu anhu. We brought the Musaf Uthman radiyallahu anhu, an entire scan. So these guys, we brought it. This is the
Where's Uthman?
Musaf Uthman.
What is that?
Read.
Okay.
You can't read. Okay, everybody, read. Musaf of who? Uthman ibn Affan.
He knows that it's an attribution. He knows it's not like Uthman's actual mushaf.
This is the
Where's Uthman?
Musaf Uthman. We are not saying that this is the personal copy that Uthman radiyan was reading when he became shaheed and his blood was spilt on. Obviously not. Musaf Uthman. Well, this is not my personal opinion. Musaf Uthman. Again, we're not saying this is the personal manuscript or he wrote it with Musaf Uthman.
As you can see, he's been exposed by his fellow Muslim apologists saying what? That he knew that this was not the Mus'haf of Uthman, yet he demanded money from this guy at the park claiming that he met the challenge. Now let's get into some of the research that he claims he did to prepare for this challenge. Now he claims that he did some research.
I decided to do some research.
Who did he say he researched?
I read the works of a Dr. Salahuddin Munajjid.
Based on his research, what does he claim Dr. Salahuddin al-Munajjid concluded?
That according to their research, this was one of the musahif that was sent out by Uthman radiallahu anhu. This particular manuscript, and as I mentioned, many scholars like Dr. Salahuddin al-Munajjid and others, Dr. Labib Sa'id, they believe that this is a scan of one of those original standard manuscripts.
We know that he has a history of going to Google or going to Al-Maktaba Al-Shamila, typing in keywords and thinking this is considered amazing research, only to find out that it's just a footnote, that he's just lying. Khalas, my bad. His research is really bad. He's saying that Dr. Salahuddin al-Munajjid claims that this manuscript is Uthmanic. Where does he get that from? Uthman, where did you get that from? When we go to Dr. Salahuddin al-Munajjid's own book, The History of Arabic Calligraphy, we see that he notes this manuscript and specifically says that it's not believed to be Uthmanic, nor from the first Islamic century. Here we have a scholar saying that this is not Uthmanic, this is not from the first Islamic century. Uthman turns around and says, based on my research, I concluded that he says this is Uthmanic. No, he doesn't say that. He says the exact opposite. This is another lie, more false information, wrong again. Let's go to another false claim that he makes where he says that every qira'ah, every reading can be read from the undotted text in this manuscript.
And how all of the different qira'at can be recited from it, so they're not different Qur'ans. It's a scan of the actual original manuscript without dots, without harakat, so every qira'at can be read from it. The text is the same, right? And all the different recitations will be in accordance to it.
What he's claiming here is that because the text in this manuscript has no dots on it, because there are no vowels, because there are no dots on the consonants to differentiate between them, that it can accommodate for many different readings. And it can accommodate for all 10 readings that he accepts as authoritative and binding on Muslims today. Before we go into examples to prove that this is not true, the first thing that I want to say is that Muslim scholars through history have notoriously called the script as it existed in the time of Uthman to be defective, to be ambiguous. Because of that very reason, because there are no dots, because there are no vowels, it was called defective. that's the case, and Uthman even gives us an example where you can read a particular word, alayhum and alayhim. That's the ambiguity that you can get from an undotted text, when you can insert vowels, consonants, and come up with a combination of all sorts of different pronunciations in different words.
Because alayhim and alayhum sound different, but the meaning is exactly the same. There is no difference. Ala is still there, hum is still there, shahidan is still there, but they're recited a little bit differently. But now when you look at the original Rasam Uthmani, both can be recited from it.
Read the whole thing. We can read the whole thing with every Qira'at.
This is either said out of ignorance or he's lying. Perhaps he read it in a footnote somewhere with a typo. I don't know. But it's not true. The fact is that you cannot read all 10 readings from this one text in this Mus'haf. It's impossible. And I'm just going to give 2 examples, although they can be multiplied to 10s, to 20s, etc., etc. Just 2 examples to prove him wrong here. If we go to chapter 5 in this manuscript, in the verse that corresponds to verse 53 in the Hafs Quran, which differs from other Qurans in numbering and in wording, it begins with وَيَقُولُ. Now, that particular reading does not exist in many of the 10 readings according to their transmitters. What that means is that those readings that do not have the letter waw in front of them, as you can see here, many of them do not have the letter waw, cannot be read from this manuscript because it has the letter waw. Look at how many readings do not have the letter waw. They simply say yaqul, he says. Waw and is nowhere to be found in them, which means that they cannot be read from this manuscript. In the very next verse, we have another example. This particular manuscript reads Narrated. However, many readings do not have the final dal at the end. It's just one. Narrated. As you can see, this manuscript does not accommodate for all 10 readings according to their different transmitters. What Uthman said again and again and again is false, wrong information. Turn away from Islam, stop lying, repent to Jesus, believe in Jesus to be saved.
Try again without deception this time.
Can you do that? Can you do that? Can you do that? Can you do that?